we've got a hungover Halloween crew that sort of spent itself pre-Halloween, so Juju Gotti appears to be the only one around here who's put some effort and some thought into his costume. Nobody has put less thought into their costume than Roy Bellamy, who's sitting this out on religious grounds, and so I won't make too much fun of him, even though what he's doing is silly and has no effort. And the judgment of Chris Cody is truly terrible because the executive producer job requires a judgment, but close thereafter eye contact. And I just heard you say, while wearing nothing but a mask and looking at the board in front of you, uh-oh. I just heard you. I heard you mutter "uh-oh" because you realize that if you're wearing that thing on your head and you haven't, there's no other part of your costume. You're only doing something that impairs your judgment and my ability to have communication with you. I've got hungover Kash Patel next to me, whose head hurt from the amount that he crossed his eyes yesterday. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Can you get a headache from crossing your eyes all day like Kash Patel? Because you seem like you're a mess.
Yeah, you can bet on it. Excuse me.
Yeah, he's not in good shape. I mean, over here.
Dan, there's an old Cuban idiom that if you cross your eyes and a fly flies by you, that you can stay cross-eyed forever. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Well,
so just be careful if you cross your eyes and a fly flies by, you stay like that.
When you say it's an idiom, does it is there a way that you say it, or does it have is it un dicho or?
Yeah, it's more of like a old wives' tale, kind of like the thing where like don't take a shower during a lightning storm, stuff like that your grandparents tell you. Like, be careful because this could happen.
I never heard that one.
So I got it right. You used idiom wrong.
Yeah.
Speaking of Cuban idioms.
You still got it.
And you can bet on it.
When the lights grow dim and the shadows creep, beware the laughter that hides a scream. For on this night of tricks and dread, even the office isn't safe from the knuckleheads. Oh, breakfast is here. Hello. Happy Halloween!
I'm not doing this with you for 3 hours, Chris. I'm not going to actively have you sabotage our show because you don't know where any of the buttons are because you're wearing the most half-assed costume that I've seen. I'd say if everyone else around here weren't in such a half-assed way other than Juju, who's putting forth a genuine effort.
But my mouth moves when I talk. I think it's actually kind of impressive and actually a cool costume. And I think it's kind of rude of you to judge my very detailed costume.
I lost my wizard's hat. You are right. It is funny, though, that the mouth does move.
Thank you.
I underestimated. I didn't notice that before when you were looking down at the buttons and couldn't see them and we're talking. But the mouth moving does add to the costume. But you're not going to be able to do any other parts of the job that I need today for the next 3 hours.
I'd love to rip to it like this.
Let's switch seats with Roy so that I can do the show. But let's go ahead and talk about the Dolphins as well because the trade deadline is Tuesday, and I suspect that they'll be shipping some people out of town, although I don't know who it is that on this team that people would want. Jalen Phillips, who can't tackle. I don't. Who else? Who else on this team has a value as a trade asset that's going to bring anything back as they shut it down? Because last night,
Paul,
they're not going to trade him.
But you say you got to keep him.
Yeah, he's one of the guys you got to keep. A number of things happened yesterday. We've got the fighting on the sidelines, a midseason special when you're 2-7. We've got the quarterback continuing to say things that nobody wants to hear. Can you tell the producer, Roy, Chris, what the montage labeling is on Tua sound? Because we have 3 sounds here from this collection of the season has gone in the toilet over the last month from Tua saying things you don't usually hear from a quarterback. And the starting point on it is him saying, I'm, half the player Josh Allen is. And it culminates with last night on a critical 4th and 1, we got our coach enraged at us because we jumped offsides, or we had a false start because the Baltimore crowd noise, always something that travels heavy.
Come on!
Travels heavy. The Baltimore crowd noise affected the home team. Let's just play the montage that begins with Josh Allen, him comparing himself to Josh Allen, and ends with Tua just blaming the Baltimore crowd for ruining the Dolphins' game last night.
That dude can do literally anything he wants. Definitely different skill set for me. I can't do half of what he does when it comes to running the ball and any of that. And then with how he can just chuck a ball down the field, with how far and the arm strength that he has, he's supreme when it comes to that. I think with that, some of it has to do with being able to see guys, with their guys also up front and our guys. And I'm not the tallest guy in the back there either. So being able to see, and then sometimes when that happens, you don't want to just throw it blindly. The Ravens fans, it maybe got a little muffled with my cadence and the crowd noise. So, we kind of talked about that on the sideline after and got that corrected.
What does that mean? Things got muffled.
The Ravens fan got muffled by my cadence?
Was that just Lamar? Lamar Jackson's pretty important, huh? Was that just Lamar Jackson grew up in the neighborhood, and therefore the Miami people who are Baltimore fans showed out? The numbers on Lamar Jackson are crazy. Against the Dolphins, all time, 18 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's 5 games. He had a passer rating of 143 last night and has a lot of games where he has basically he's got more touchdowns than incompletions, or about as many touchdowns as incompletions. It's a bit nuts how he changes them. Kyle Hamilton, too. Let's get to Tua, though, with the lukewarm. Just basically, they've got a half a season left, folks, and they're done with their quarterback. They're done with their coach. They're done filled with general indifference. Here is Tua trying to motivate the team beforehand. This would look really cool if they were 6-1 or 7-1, but it looks far less cool when they're 2-7.
60 minutes tonight. 4 hours of pain. 4 hours of making that feel you. Hey.
It sounds like a threat. We've got 60 more minutes of work we have to do this week. 4 hours.
I love how he just this game's it's 60 minutes, but it's gonna take 4 hours. So I know I'm saying 60, but I need more than 60 minutes of your time. I need 4 hours of your time because I know it's confusing. Even though it says 60, we're going to need a little bit longer than that because we have a halftime. We have timeouts. I hate this guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you've turned on him.
It's just, I can't with him anymore.
I just want to watch Chris talk the whole show. It's so funny looking at his mouth move up and down.
It's longer commercials on Thursday Night Football, too, so it's actually 4.5 hours probably. A normal 1 o'clock game on Sunday, probably we can get under 4 hours, but a nationally televised game, we're going to need about 4 hours and 15 minutes, and then you can take the rest of the night off. Thank you.
Sometimes you just run into Charlie Kohler.
Do y'all think that, because it's weirdness going on over there in Arizona right now with Kyler Murray, I feel like Jacoby Brissett has proven himself to be maybe the better quarterback in that situation. So do you think the Dolphins could go after someone like Kyler Murray?
Well, Tony's out on Kyler Murray, and obviously I think if I put that in front of the Dolphin fan base, they would love to have something like that, because one of the things that makes it so hopeless around here is Tua leads the league in interceptions. He's clearly not the answer. If you need a quarterback, we know this. This is a problematic place to be as a franchise. But if your quarterback is not the answer, then he's the question. And if he's the question, leading the league in interceptions, Geno Smith has 10 interceptions, and Tua last night throws one more interception. But they played in that game. They controlled the time of possession. They played the better first half, but you can't get inside the opponent's 30-yard line 5 times and end up with, at the end of the game, you've got 6 points.
On top of that, it's the worst defense we've been talking about in the entire National Football League outside of the defense that plays on your team, and you have 6 points, and you're moving the ball here and there, but like they're dominating you. And you look around and saying, how is this happening to the worst team on defense in the league?
How are we doing on this historically bad defense? Are they just like bad? Are they historically bad?
Well, every running back gets 100 yards on them, but I thought they locked down Derrick Henry. When Tony says, though, of the Ravens, Kyle Hamilton makes a pretty enormous difference on their team. Last year, they were the worst pass defense in the league the first half of the season and the best pass defense of the league the second half of the season. So when you say that's a bad defense, you're not wrong, because they allowed 44 to the Texans. They were allowing 35 a game. You're not wrong, but that will also not be the same defense that it's been all season. And they got coming up Bengals, Jets, Browns, Vikings.
My Ravens stock is flying, Dano. If you want to buy some, it's expensive, but tomorrow's price is not today's price.
Yeah, the Ravens are going to fix some of that stuff. I want to share with you guys something here, though, that happened to me last night, because I want to get your stories on this, because clearly you have stories, okay? I've told you before that I accidentally, Stephanie, who works at a Mexican restaurant nearby, I accidentally texted Stephen A. Smith my Mexican order instead of Stephanie, because I've made this mistake absentmindedly when I don't have my glasses. I've told you the story of Erin Andrews accidentally sending a text that she meant to go to Boog Shambi that was funny and inappropriate that she instead sent to Marty Schottenheimer. And I had it happen to me last night. Can you guys get the ridiculous video of me promoting our event last night? And thank you to everybody who came out. Like, we're hungover from both the drinks and the feelings of all of that last night, because it's a pretty unique thing that is the intimate relationship that we have with our audience. Our thanks to Miller Lite. Also the intimate relationship we have with our sponsors, who were thrilled with the number of people who made that a really fun block party that included, as a surprise, DJ Laz.
That Chico's a pimp.
That was a surprise to everybody there when they heard the first syllable of his voice, and they're like, wait a minute, is that DJ Laz at a block party here? Who, I mean, we have no shortage of famous DJs who come through this town, live in space, but DJ Laz is the biggest and the best we've ever had in this market, correct?
Easily, right? Like DJ Khaled is up there, and obviously he's got more national fame because of. Hold on, let me cook.
He's talking about the regional
Mm-hmm.
DJ. Like DJ Khaled's a national DJ who happens to live in Miami.
He started local and then went national because of his ties with other rappers and musicians, whatever. DJ Laz kept it local, right? Power 96, went through the tough times in radio, made his own song. When you plumpa por mi casa y tu a mi mujer. When he played that, the place went crazy, Dano. Cuando factoría por culpa de Fidel. Hey, cuando pasa por mi casa.
I want to thank Miller Lite. I want to thank DraftKings because we have been moved by all of the people who help us be independent, including all of those people who came out last night to thank us for an assortment of things. But here's what happened to me last night when I'm advertising the event, and I'm going to tell you that I sent this to 2 people, but I only meant to send it to one of the 2 people that I sent it to. This is obviously something I would never say in public. Like, this is something that's got to be kept private between you and I.
especially because I really love our sponsors. They're the reason we get to be independent. So, like, I'm hugely grateful to Flanagan's and Miller Lite and DraftKings that we're having this enormous block party here in an hour at the Flanagan in Kendall. And there are going to be a lot of people there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But it's a bad idea the day before Halloween to have a costume thing. Like, that's just not a good idea. Like, these guys at work, these fuckers, they think I like to dress up in costumes when it's my kink, but it's not. Like, my wife is an artist, and she likes doing costumes, and the only thing she likes better than costumes is me looking like a fool. So we go into the bathroom, and I have to spend an hour before work getting ready for these dumb things, and I do it because I love her, but I don't love this at all. But now she's out of town, and so I've got to go to this thing, and I got to be in the spirit, because it's a party, it's a block party, and nobody wants me to go. It's just Dan wearing my regular clothes. So what happens? I end up in this situation where I'm stuck wearing this shitty costume that nobody's going to like. I look ridiculous. I can't do my own costume. That's not something I'm going to do. Are you filming this? You can't
Apologies
film
to
this.
the audio audience. I'm dressed as a Pop-Tart there, poorly fitting Pop-Tart. Bailey is our social media guy. And so I ended up sending that to former Ram and Lion Robert Bailey, former Hurricane. I haven't talked to him in 15 years, so he gets that from me. He's Drew Rosenhaus's right-hand man.
Did he reply?
Not yet. I can't.
Don't be waiting on that reply.
Is it red?
It's not happening.
Did he read it?
You laughing at me as the horse with you.
Andrew Luck's horse.
Bro, you was sweating so hard in that costume, bro.
It was so hot. Well, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do you hate Halloween because of how much the costumes make you sweat? Because I underestimated how hot that costume was.
I saw you rip that costume off, and I was like, "Oh wow, he's tired of this thing already."
Yeah.
That thing was blazing hot, huh?
Yeah. It was not in any way pleasant.
Perhaps toasty?
I have more Dolphin thoughts, but I did want to talk about the Heat last night with Cash Patel here, who's also hungover. I heard you guys talking moral victory today because Victor Wembanyama got a mere 5 blocks, and I really don't know where I'd put the over-under going into any game on Wembanyama for blocks. I think I'd put it at 4.5. I don't know how many blocks he's averaging, but if I'm going into a game, I'd bet the over on 4.5, so I think I'd put it somewhere closer. I think I'd put it at 5.
Going into last night, he was averaging 4.75 blocks per game and then added another 5, all of which came in the second half, by the way.
So what were your thoughts there as the Heat were stymied offensively? They get 101 points. They keep the game close against an undefeated San Antonio team. And if this is a consensus, right? I mean, if Victor Wembanyama stays healthy, he's simply going to be the best player in the league before the end of the season if he's not already, correct?
The best player? I don't know about the best player. I think there's a lot of great players. Nikola Jokic, again, I'm telling you, he's never had it as easy as he has it right now. But he's certainly, look, before the year, someone said he's going to be a top 5 player. I said, I don't think he'd be top 5. And now I'm like, oh, yeah, he's going to be on the MVP ballot. He'll definitely be on the MVP ballot if he stays healthy and he keeps playing this way.
I'm having some trouble with the show because I got 2 guys in sunglasses and a guy on a horse's head, and I usually do this by eye contact, so I can't tell when you guys want to talk.
Well, back here, we were just sort of discussing, like, if he's not the best player in the league, where is he? And I said he's either 3rd or 4th because I would put Shea and Jokic ahead of him for sure. But then after that, I mean, you look at Giannis, and Tony said maybe Luka, but the impact on both ends of the floor, Wembanyama, what he does defensively to slow down teams, the defense that they have where these guards can just simply funnel everyone into the paint, his shot blocking ability completely changes the game.
You look at the stats across the NBA, and it's like Victor leads the NBA in rebounds. Victor leads the NBA in blocks. Victor's really close to leading the NBA in scoring. It's like you look at all those things, and it's like, yeah, it's the first week of the season, first 2 weeks of the season. We'll see how everything pans out. But it's like this is now the runway for, okay, the next 10 to 12 years, he's just going to be at the top of every stat sheet ever.
Right, and that to me equals best player in the league. I feel like he's the best player in the league right now. Give me somebody who can do what he do on both ends of the court, cross you up. He's the best player in the league right now if he stays healthy.
Where is the rest of your costume? I know there's a trees element to everything you're doing there with the Clippers and aspiration.
Aspiration. It's about trees, right?
Right. I think the place that I have to side with Juju on, and maybe this is a semantics discussion, because, okay, yeah, you don't want to underestimate all the things Jokic is. Can easily average a triple-double, can, as Amin says, control the entire game going 9 for 10. But if I tell you, when you mention Shea, that's an interesting one, because age, obviously, they're comparable. But if you tell me right now, who do I want for the next 10 years? Next 10 years, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander or Victor Wembanyama. The only thing I think keeping people from selecting Victor Wembanyama is I think he's going to get hurt. I think he's more likely to get hurt than Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. But when it comes to Jokic, if I tell anybody right now, who'd you rather have right now for your future? People are going to take Victor just because he's so much younger. Just because you're going to be getting the next 10 years of him are going to be something that, you're going to get him until he's 30 years old, and Jokic is going to be on the other side of 30.
Right, and that also equals, to me, best player in the league. I think that if we take away the possibility of injuries, a Magic Genie came around. Yeah. There is nobody you want on your team. Salute to Shea. I seen him, but that was a game 7 he went to with the Indiana Pacers. Yeah. You feel me? So as great as he is, he has holes. And I think that Victor Wembanyama doesn't have as many.
He's got holes. He's got holes in different area codes.
Parts of his game.
I feel like I can make a little bit of an argument for Jokic because of the fact that his game is going to age kind of like Tim Duncan's game, right? Where it's like he's going to be 40 years old, be throwing behind the back passes and throwing stuff between the guy's legs and still getting that bump and little bunny hook, turnaround shots, his three-pointer. Yeah, defensively, obviously he leaves a lot to be desired, but offensively that game will age like no other game.
Yeah, and he does perhaps the best job of any of the superstars in the league of making other players better. And I think that's and I'm not saying that Wembanyama can't, but when you are a hub the way Jokic is, where there's not too many guys in the league who can do that, that has value beyond anything. I know a lot people like to say, well, he plays offense and he plays defense. Ipso facto, that means he's the best player. But the reality is, if I'm and by the way, Jokic is not a bad defender anymore. He's not elite, but he's decent. But let's say he's a +1 on defense.
Their defensive metrics are good with him on the court.
So let's say
don't forget, last playoffs, he was being guarded by Alex Caruso.
Man,
but that was a tough matchup. That's what OKC wanted.
And guess who that wouldn't be tough for? Victor Wembanyama.
No, hold on. No. It's not like Caruso locked him up. That's not what happened. It was a decision they wanted because they said, when he's doing all of this and helping everybody else out, that kills us. So we got to force him to be in a situation where he has to, I got to score. I got a 6'3" guy on me or whatever, however tall Caruso is. But my point is, if Jokic is a +1 on defense, he's like a +1,000,000 on offense. And so even though Wembanyama could say, I'm a +1,000 on defense, I'm a +1,000 on offense, together, that's still ain't as much as the impact offensively that Jokic is.
The thing that was really interesting to watch in last night's game with the Heat in particular is that Wemby's patience offensively, like he's clearly a guy who now he's not chucking threes, right? He's really trying to establish himself to dominate in the paint, but he's hitting a big 3 late in the game because he had the window to do it. He was really just like setting up his teammates throughout the game, especially early, because Bam Adebayo actually was kind of bothering him defensively. So he was like, all right, I'll set up all these other guys. And really, he kind of feels like an underrated passer. He's not Jokic. He's not close to Jokic in terms of setting up his teammates, in terms of passing the ball. But this early in his career, to watch that development from last year to this year as a playmaker for the rest of his teammates, with all these young guards, by the way, between Harper and Vassell and Castle. This team is built for the future around Victor Wembanyama in an unbelievable way.
De'Aaron Fox.
Well, we were having a conversation before the show of like, I'll take your I'm worried about Tyler Hero and if he's going to disrupt things for the Heat, and I will raise you tenfold with I'm a little worried about De'Aaron Fox coming back and messing with what's going on with these young guards and their flow. Not that De'Aaron Fox is a great offensive player, but he needs the ball in his hands a lot. And what Castle and Vassell and particularly Dylan Harper are able to do with their patience and playmaking around Victor Wembanyama, it sets up a really interesting future here for San Antonio because they paid De'Aaron Fox already. That's the difference here. Tyler is in the spot where he wants to kind of prove that he can be a piece of what this Miami Heat offense is doing moving forward. He has to buy in. De'Aaron Fox is a different situation. That's going to be really interesting to watch it play out with a 5-0 San Antonio Spurs team.
A number of things regarding Wembanyama. I'm convinced, obviously, that he's going to continue to grow his game. But is he also going to continue to physically grow? Because he grew over the summer, and I'd be curious. I don't know where Amin went or whether he has bubble gut. He just ran out of the studio. But I'm curious to know how this is going to play out with Wembanyama making the game easier for those guards, because Shaquille O'Neal, when he started, could be forgiven for thinking that Anthony Hardaway was a wildly unique player who nobody else could duplicate. And I know Anthony Hardaway was great, but later in his career, Shaq also made that of Wade and Kobe Bryant. Like, he turned those guys into legends, helped, and they would have been legends on their own, and Kobe won a championship on his own, but playing with Shaq was such a centrifugal, what is it called?
Centrifugal.
That's good, Tony.
I know.
By the way,
it's
a fine, but it's a Freeney, by the way.
And I know what centrifugal means, but I don't think my brother Roy was up on that. Can you please explain it to him?
I took science in school.
Okay, explain it, Roy. Go ahead. Floor's yours.
When you go around in a circle, like, for example, if you're in a car and you're going around in a circle, the force drags you towards the middle. That's centrifugal force.
Oh, shit.
So
somebody Google
Shaq was so much of
science.
that with he just cave in your entire defense that the floor opens up for Anthony Hardaway, Dwayne Wade, and Kobe Bryant in a way that the game got much harder for them when Shaq was no longer doing that. How much is Wembanyama going to do that for his guards as his game grows and as he becomes somebody? This is not a finished product. This is a product that will continue to improve. This is not as good as this is going to be. This is going to keep getting better.
What Dan is talking about is the process of gravity. Stars demand attention from defenses, making it for their co-stars to be stars in their own right. When you talk about Victor Wembanyama, this is a guy that gives you gravity on both ends of the floor. His presence on the defensive end makes other players think twice about even attempting a shot. And that's the kind of skill set that you don't see every day, Dan Le Batard.
Do you need some tea or something? What's wrong?
I don't know what you just did.
Bravo. He's nailing it.
Some people are going to get this, and a lot of people aren't. And guess what? I'm okay with 3 people on the internet saying, oh, shit, he did the thing from the internet.
I got nothing. I don't know what he's doing.
Doesn't matter.
Spot on.
I'm going to give you analysis. It's just going to have a funny voice and a cadence that's kind of like this.
But also, let's not forget how Victor Wembanyama spent his summer. Yes. He spent his summer with GOATs, KG. He spent his summer with Hakeem Olajuwon. With the Monks. But went over ball-headed. Like, bro was actually making himself better while I don't know what everybody else was up to.
Juju, his love of the game is what separates him. He's not afraid of the grind. He's not looking for TikToks and Instagram reels. He's trying to further the game, and his love of the history of the game took him to find knowledge from places like Hakeem Olajuwon, who has a skill set that's similar to his as a big man with guard mobility, and Kevin Garnett, whose love and fire and passion for the game was unmatched.
It has an undercurrent of Elmo to it.
I promise you, this
furthest
is
thing.
The furthest thing from Elmo. Let's talk about some of the legends who paved the way for Victor Wembanyama to be who he is. Kevin Durant, the Slim Reaper. We kind of gloss over his abilities as someone who's clearly 7 feet tall to make shots from the perimeter and attack. He's got the physical tools and the length, and he's gone up against all the toughest stars of the day. Also, Alexis Texas.
great physical tools, low post play.
That's where I figured we were. When you said furthest thing from Elmo, I was playing the game in my head of like,
porn, right?
What could be the furthest thing from Elmo? Mm-hmm.
Put it on the poll. Is porn the furthest thing from Elmo?
It's got to be bottom 5. Well, top 5 furthest. Would it be bottom or top?
Depends on what kind of porn you're watching.
I wish I could have seen your face turn red there when you got caught up in the air and got scared, because I could see your fear behind the horse's moving mouth.
Cool as a cucumber.
His arms turned red.
So moral victory. Zaz said yesterday was a buy-in game for the Miami Heat.
Dan, the Miami Heat went out there without Tyler Hero or Norman Powell. Those two scoring ability, their ability to get to the hole, make shots from the outside, would have greatly changed the outcome of that game.
Late in the game, they desperately needed someone who could create their own shot. In the second half, sorry, I got distracted by the comparison in preview. I don't know who that person is, but watching Amin be whoever this is concerning for me. But
I want to know what you're dressed as.
I'm Edward Cullen. I'm the most dangerous creature on earth.
I just see like
I don't know.
Like an aggressive.
You're like a Fu Manchu.
You look like somebody beat you up, and then you just showed up to work.
I do look like Edward Cullen got into a fight. But no, I have the skin of a killer, Bella. Yeah, he's a vampire.
Do
Come on,
vampires
Twilight.
get beat up?
I mean, I don't know. I sure look like I got beat up.
Speaking of beat up, let's talk about the players who came through and were able to take incredible amounts of abuse, but still came through in the end. Michael Jordan told the story about throwing up in Game 5 of the finals, but he said, I'm physically capable, and he showed up. And that's the love of the game, Dan. It's what's missing today from this current generation.
I think that's such an easy criticism. You can't tell me that Kevin Durant, I don't know if he's today's generation, you can't tell me he doesn't love the game. Like, why do you think, like, that's such an easy criticism to make on today's generation? You think that the young people playing today's game, you can hit them with the sweeping brush if they don't care about the game the way the old timers did?
I think it's obvious, Dan. When you watch some of the tape, as I do, at 3 in the morning, you know some of these players are in it for the trappings, for the luxuries that come along with the game, and not for the game itself.
That's always been the case, though.
I think social media plays a big part in that, like how today's athlete kind of operates. He hears the criticism instantly. He sees the other people, what they're up to instantly. The private jets, he want to keep up with the Kardashians. I think all of that plays a role into why today's athlete seems a little more disinterested than the old school.
It's not just that, Juju. It's also the infatuation with being a brand. It's all the other things instead of focusing, making the main thing, as Eric Spoelstra, Hall of Fame coach, likes to say.
You are fair. I think a lot of people have that criticism, but making a brand, it's not as if Michael Jordan wasn't also super interested in the making of a brand. Like, rarely has it been as overt, the making of a brand, than the guy who made a brand more than anybody in the history of sports.
Dan, we never felt like Michael Jordan was actively pursuing it. It was being done and it was being made, but we always felt like his focus was on the game at hand. When we talk about some of the modern players, there is an overt kind of effort that's being made where they're telling you, hey, I have to do this. This is good for my brand, rather than this is good for my game.
Yesterday, your eyes gave you a headache. If you do this for the remainder of the show, you're going to go home with a spent voice for the weekend. Jeremy explained to me, I've got South Beach Sessions next week. He explained to me that this glitter in this wizard's beard, that this is considered in the theater game the chlamydia of stage props, that I'm not going to be able to get rid of the glitter in my beard, and there are going to be some ramifications for me next
Yep, that's
week.
how we always referred to it in high school, the chlamydia of stage props. That's what glitter is when you put it in your hair. You're going to be finding that glitter for, I don't know, 4 to 6 months.
Why STD as a reference to that? Why?
And I'm no expert. I'm no expert or no doctor, but I think you can get rid of chlamydia.
Yeah. Right, eventually.
Oh, touche.
You were saying, Jeremy, before you got distracted by the joke that Amin is doing, that you, me, and Chris don't understand?
Well, when it comes to the Heat offense, like last night, what really happened was that in the second half, in the third quarter, the sort of pace and space that they've been doing offensively got jumbled up. Why? Because they couldn't get into the paint. They couldn't properly penetrate. And when they couldn't do that, the issue for Miami was that they wanted to be able to distribute the ball and get guys open in the corner. But unfortunately, they didn't have the ability to do so because their spacing was all messed up. Why? Because of Victor Wembanyama's length.
You've got to be able to overcome that length, Dan, and the great players find a way. Now, when you're shorthanded, injuries happen. It happens, and you've got to find a way with the personnel that you have. I like that Simone Fontecchio, who has never had a mustache, by the way, was aggressive out there and was making it from the outside. The perimeter game is so important in the game today, but you've got to find a way to counterbalance it with penetration at the hole.
Dan, did you notice that the group chat that you made fun of me for yesterday, where I said Khalil Ware would be the next Victor Wembanyama as the title, I changed this morning to Simone Fontecchio will have his number retired? Did you notice that?
I didn't, Jeremy. I've learned to ignore most of what it is that you're commenting on when you do personal shows for me.
Well, you know, sometimes it's valuable. Sometimes.
That's your opinion.
Let's talk about...
Wow. All right.
Let's talk about Eric Spoelstra's job so far with this Miami Heat offense. Missing a bona fide superstar talent, they have been able to outscore opponents by almost 7 or 8 points per 100 possessions. That's amazing considering the personnel available to them.
I watch what it is that the Heat always do in terms of creative evolution, and I pair it with what it is that the Dolphins are and have been in this town, and it makes me better understand how I've gone in this market from watching the Dolphins be the only thing that was excellent in sports for 3 decades, 70s, 80s, 90s, when they had Dan Marino, to watching a football town taken away by the basketball team because of the stability more than anything, right? Like this is always interesting to me when it comes to organizational architecture and how much it matters to have stability. The idea that someone came out of the video room and is regarded by all the other NBA general managers as the most innovative of the coaches, the guy who will figure out, even though he had a terrible year last year, that will include forever in his dreams the haunting of calling a timeout he did not have at the end of a game against the Pistons, costing his team the game.
You were right about that. He's going to wake up one day in 10 years and be like, timeout! No, no!
You guys don't understand. That person, okay, is so obsessive, compulsively driven about how do I figure out how to stay ahead of all of these other people who are trying to do what the NFL has done to Mike McDaniel, where it gets stripped bare because it's so survival of the fittest on where it is and how it is that you evolve, that you see the whole thing go from best offense in the league to everyone in leadership gets ravaged because you don't actually have stability tethering the core of everything that you're doing. What the Miami Heat are going to be, they are not going to be a champion, but they are going to give you hope, and they are going to have young pieces that other people want because their development is, and I will not overstate this when I say it is second to none. You tell me who's second, because I believe that you believe that they're second to none when it comes to, we will take Don Shula. The greatest compliment that I've heard in coaching was Bum Phillips saying of Don Shula, he'll take urine and beat his'n, and he'll take his'n and beat urine. Like, it sounds like urine.
Chef
Schlereth? But Spo is somebody, you can't, to answer my question on development when it comes to just any player, you put Davion Mitchell here and he looks different than he looks anywhere else.
Dan, you're absolutely right. The Miami Heat, actually, if you remember, one of the earliest appearances I had on this show, we were talking about them paying James Johnson and Dion Waiters and Hassan Whiteside. And I said, you're the organization that finds diamonds in the rough everywhere and polishes them as diamonds. Why would you go to Zales and pay market price? Just let them go and go find the next round. And that's what they've been doing. They found Max Strus. He got paid. He left. They found Ken McNunn. He got paid. He left. That's the formula. And so they do an incredible job, not only of scouting, but but player development and seeing the best in guys who are in the G League and the minor leagues and trying to come up. As far as other organizations that are great like them, I would put the San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder. They consistently have a way of bringing up through their farm system players who develop and become rotational assets, and not because they were high draft picks or kind of big names, but people that they found and made into big names.
Yeah, and I think it's good that the NBA or the people in charge recognized that and made him the leader of all of us, the head coach of the Dream Team coming up. So speaks for itself.
You mentioned Max Strus has been a reasonable facsimile of what he was here. You didn't mention Gabe Vincent, who has not been. The other thing about their development that is interesting is the grand majority of those people who leave here because they're paid never again look like what they looked like here. They don't look like that before they get here, and then they get paid and go somewhere else. Strus isn't the best example because he can make threes from wherever it is that he plays and has been a reasonable facsimile. But when Tyler Johnson gets the $44 million from the organization that has not run well, and they try to recreate that, all of a sudden you get a player who's not nearly the same thing. It is how and why the Heat have taken this market from the Dolphins in terms of hope, who are getting booed at home and have the Ravens fans making them have false starts at home.
Barbados Carnival.
So welcome back, Billy, and I don't know where this particular tension is going to end up. Welcome back. And I also want to get to Mike Ryan. He does not agree with you on Hard Knocks, Chris. He doesn't.
Oh, trust me. We had a whole text exchange last night. I almost drove to his house to fight him.
Yeah, you guys have very wildly disparate opinions on the Oakland Raiders and Hard Knocks. But first, Billy, welcome back. How was your honeymoon?
It was good. Thank you for asking.
Oh, he's tightened up his game now that he's refreshed. Okay, things are
it's just so hot today, Dan. I don't know what's going on with the air, but luckily I have this little fan that I bought before a hurricane that I have plugged into my phone, so like it's keeping me nice and cool.
I'm so jealous.
You guys should get these. These things are awesome. Look at it, Dan. You see this thing? Look at this.
Can you please tell me about all the awkward things that happened to you? Did anything weird happen to you in Barbados? Like what kind of, just give me some awkward Billy on his honeymoon stuff. Is there anything that...
The non-awkward would be a much shorter story.
Yeah, I wonder how this is going to go. What's the best you got from your honeymoon? And then we'll move on to other things like Antonio trying to steal your job.
I've had a lot of awkwardness, well, in my entire life, I guess. But recently I've had a bunch of awkwardness. So I'd say from the honeymoon, I think the most memorable thing that we did was, so in Barbados, they have an annual carnival, right? Or carnival or whatever, right? It's called Crop Over. And it's at the end, well, it's actually called Kadooment, but that's a different story.
All right, go sit outside for a second. We'll get back to it.
Whoa!
Antonio, just go sit in his chair. We'll get back to it.
I'm back, baby.
I want to hear the whole story. I just don't understand why you can't even get the name right of Carnival and like
it's Crop Over. That's fine.
Why is it called a honeymoon?
It's a good question.
That is a good question. Put it on the poll, Antonio, now that you've replaced Billy in his chair. Do you know why they call it a honeymoon? Mike, do you have the sound? A very simple sound, a very simple question. Basically, I want you to hear Billy, who has a reputation for yammering and just not being able to get anything out, and he's rusty, because he hasn't been paying attention to the internet for 10 days. So he came in here today, and it was just a furnace blast of news, all of it weird, disorienting. The local hour has gone someplace else.
It's Mystery Crate. Warren, what do we got?
I don't know, man.
All right.
I'm just here.
We have a new edition.
Halloween.
Yeah, it's Halloween.
Chris Cody's dressed as Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah.
Jeremy inexplicably wore a cowboy hat.
I did. I took it off because I wanted to make sure that none of you got spoiled from how.
Yeah, we have
how
another
great it is.
edition of Jess's New York Celebrity Watch.
This is so frustrating.
It's a tough one.
Who
Yeah,
is
it's a tough
it?
Oh, and you get to find out who last week's celebrity
Right,
was.
exactly.
Yeah.
Correct.
Worst place to get a pimple.
Worst place to get a pimple.
Yeah.
We
Deep
talk
breakdown.
about
Your butt cheek.
IKEA furniture.
Oh.
We talk about how Chris Whittingham is not a Bills fan.
Or wears pants.
Or jeans.
Or yeah, he's tired
And
of wearing
hey,
pants.
He hates jeans.
Billy joins us.
Oh, you never
Question.
know.
Yeah. Maybe Billy.
Mr. Kyle.
Maybe somebody named Billy.
Roy, I just want to thank you at the end of this for that yes and at the front of this.
I don't know, man. I'm just here.
On this episode of the Alley Oop, Trista's got her smart glasses on, and she is the dumbest she's ever been. Is Austin Reeves for real, or is it Austin Sanity? Get it? Get it? Like Lynn Sanity? Do you get it? Like it's fake? Juju, where'd you go? Juju.
Lock in.
Lock in.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
A couple of leftover stats from last night. Can you get me the stat of the day music here real quick? I've just got a couple of Dolphin stats from last night's game as the Dolphins fall to 2-7, and this entire season halfway through can be swept out to sea, as can all of the leaders and management and whatever remains of what you consider their top players.
2-7.
Put it on the poll. Should it say in the standings 2-7?
Start of the day, start of the day. This is start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. This is start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. This is start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. This is start of the day.
So both Washingtons who play for the Dolphins fumbled last night. It's not just that their quarterback leads the league in interceptions. The Ravens had caused all of 4 turnovers this season. They got 3 of them last night, but that is not the stat of the day. You guys know they rely on Achane way too much. You know they're going to break the entirety of what's left of his body. You know that you are frustrated by the number of bubble screens and quick passes at the line of scrimmage. Do you guys want to guess? Give me the total, Juju, if you do not mind. Total scrimmage yards for Achane last night, because I mentioned that the Dolphins and time of possession and yardage were right there with the Ravens all game and shouldn't have been down 14-6 in the first half, but 5 times they were inside of the 30, and they ended up with 6 points for the game.
108 yards from scrimmage, Dano.
Do you want to guess how many of those? Anybody want to guess how many Achane had in the second half while Derrick Henry was grinding the Dolphins to dust after 8 carries for 30 yards? Derrick Henry ends up with 100 and whatever yards he ends up with. You want to guess how many from scrimmage yards Achane had in the second half last night?
Say 32.
1.
He had 10 targets. He had 10 targets in the game.
one yard in the second half once the Ravens figured out, okay, that's all they've got. They've only got that.
They got the sideways pass. That's it. That's all you guys
Man,
can
that
do.
sucks, huh? That's pretty terrible.
That's not great. It's not a great situation. Chris Cody, can you tell me through that talking horse's mask that is one of the laziest costumes I have ever seen?
I love it. It's the best.
Laziest costume I've seen since I was in college, and I just wore a Miller Lite case on my head because I didn't have anything else, so I was a case of beer for Halloween.
I don't want to throw stones here, Dan, but when your wife leaves town, your costumes take a big dip, if we're going to be honest here.
Also, Dan, you'd be a keg, not a case.
That was uncalled for, man.
Also, does Chris look like a Chicago Bull right now?
He
Put
does.
it on the pole, Dano.
You know what he looks like? The Scarecrow.
The Scarecrow from Batman.
From Batman Begins.
I agree.
If he were Chicago Bull.
Put it on the poll as well at Le Batard Show. Are you tired of your local show doing Halloween costumes on Halloween and then talking about their Halloween costumes all of Halloween? But can you get me the Hampton Farms Nuttiest Fan winner?
All right.
Yes, you.
Hit it. All right, guys. Congrats to this old guy who took his shirt off. He's this week's winner of the Nuttiest Fan. Get nutty with Hampton Farms, the official peanut of bowl season. Keep an eye out for Lucy Rodine at Ohio State if you think you are your fans. Nuttiest fan. I
Chris,
screwed that up at the end.
I will tell you, you screwed up in more ways than you know, in that you were, the joke of your mouth moving was covered by the read that you were doing, so we didn't even get the joke of the horse's mouth
It's like an
moving.
offensive coordinator trying to call plays where they're covering his mouth. And like, wait a second, I need to see what he's saying.
He is right. It is not good when the only joke you have in your costume is your mouth moving, and what he triggers for you is a coach trying to disguise anyone seeing his mouth.
It's like Kyle Shanahan.
Why were you guys so excited talking about a $20,000 robot? I don't know this story that you guys were talking about, nor do I know why you were so excited talking about this story.
You don't know about this? This is truly, we're finally in the future, Dan. Remember the movie I, Robot? How they had domesticated robot servants helping people. Well, now some company has made one, and it only costs about $20,000 or $500 a month.
But Dan, lest you know, okay, this is the future, but it's not here that fast. Like, we still got some time before the robots take over the planet because of the fact that this robot, 20 grand, doesn't really do things that you need it to do. Like, it's kind of like half-ass robot, right? Like, you're there and it's like, oh, well, can you do this? And I'm like, not really. I can't really do that.
I'm not particularly eager to get to the future when we all realize, do you realize how flippant we were laughing about robots and AI when we were, right? We were all fooling around with it, and Robin Williams' family and Martin Luther King's family and Stephen Hawking's family is saying, not funny when you put Stephen Hawking's on a skateboard, and they're offended by how real some of that stuff looks. Robin Williams' daughter was really upset about how her father's image is used.
Look, I agree with the families 100%. I am 100% behind all of the families who think that this is abhorrent. But have you seen some of them?
Yeah, it's funny. No, but I'm just wondering. See, I'm wondering if this clip in the future, in which we defend the robots have taken over, and they didn't like how we made fun of them, or how we underestimated them.
What
do they do? Dishes?
That's what I'm saying, Chris. They do dishes.
Let's
they
see.
do laundry.
Well, he's trying to. Okay.
Well,
Can you grab it there, buddy? Hold up.
We've all been there.
He's trying to close the dishwasher right now.
What?
He's got the bend down good, though.
Make the stallion
Pull it up.
knees.
Yeah, here we go. Pull it up. Pull it up. There we go, buddy.
There are some things.
Wait a second.
There are some things you can bend, like you can bend your back. You know, it's like keep your back straight when you lift something up. Like you can. There are some things that you can have a little tilt in your back for.
So you guys are laughing because clearly the robots.
He's been taught how to lift, and it's just not helping him here.
The robot's not as fast as we are yet at closing a dishwasher, but better at squats.
Yeah.
Strong
Good.
squats.
Yeah. Good form on the squat. You got to keep your back. You got to sit on the heel. You push up.
So you guys aren't afraid yet?
Not yet, Dan.
Dan, I want these robots to do my laundry. That's why I sit around in a bathrobe all day with Tide Pods in the background.
I would whoop that robot's ass. I would destroy that robot if we had to fight.
That was Kawhi's laugh. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, the horse does a better Kawhi laugh.
Why did you call him the horse?
The horse does a
He
better.
has horns.
The horse
What horse
does a
has
better
horns?
Kawhi laugh than Juju.
Yeah.
The mouth moving.
And if you don't remember, that was just Kawhi laughing at not knowing where someone was seated. An outburst of laughter saying, I can't even see where you're seated, as Roy scampers because you can't do your own job today.
Here, let me help him.
Because you decided. Roy tries to scamper to see if he can find the Kawhi Leonard laugh to support you so that we can make the music.
Spelled
You laugh,
L-A-U.
he laughs, you laugh, he laughs.
He just spelled laugh for us.
He's losing steam, guys.
I want to punish him. I want him to do it the rest of the show and have it haunt him all weekend. The job requires judgment.
Four me's.
Jimmy Johnson was caught rapping at a tailgate.
Rapping what?
He was rapping Rich Homie Quan.
Really? Shout out to the boy.
You haven't seen this, Tony? How old is Jimmy Johnson? He's 80 now. Is he over 80 years old? Obviously, a Miami Hurricanes icon. I don't know. Would we put him on the University of Miami Mount Rushmore if I told you all personalities all time, right? Obviously, he'd be the only executive or coach who might get a consideration. But if I tell you Mount Rushmore, University of Miami, all time, Michael Irvin's going to be up there. Ray Lewis is going to be up there.
Mike Ryan.
You're going to get Warren Sapp is going to get into the discussion, but I guess I got to put Jimmy Johnson on the top four, right? I have to say Jimmy Johnson as someone, because it's enduring, right? It's not comes and goes. He's still always his feeling. Him around the program is a spirit, is a soul, is something that echoes for eternity.
Plus the big chill down in the Keys, Dano. When you have that fishing tournament, when all the UM guys of old and all the UM guys of new all of a sudden link up together at the big chill in Key Largo, and all the boys go out and fish all day and then come back and have some cold Miller Lights, Dano, that right there is family. That right there is the University of Miami.
Before we play it, Juju, can you give us an appraisal? Because I haven't seen it. I've only heard about it. Obviously, an 80-year-old man rapping. I'm going to go ahead and guess that, he's 82 years old. 82 years old. I did not know that Jimmy Johnson was 82 years old. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Has there ever been an 82-year-old who raps well? Because I've got to think, even though hip-hop is only 50 years old, I'm guessing that you guys are going to say that Kendrick and Jay-Z, they will at 80 be able to still rap, correct? Like they won't seem ridiculous rapping at 82, will they? That's not going to age poorly, is it?
Right, because hip hop itself just turned 50 a couple years ago. So that's what we got to remember. We've never seen these 60, 70-year-old rappers, so we shouldn't laugh at them. They're pioneers.
But what would be your appraisal of how Jimmy Johnson did?
Oh yeah, I think Jimmy Johnson gives off, look, man, I did everything I wanted to do in life.
Yeah.
Now I'm out here at this tailgate, man. Put on that Quan, man. I got something for y'all boys, man. Come on, let go. Play it.
Let's watch the tape.
I wish I could rap, but I can't rap, but I do love you. Y'all see Coach? Do it. Do it. I got it. I always had it. go to the U. Mama, Daddy said they love me, but they love the you. Where's Melvin Bratton? And I'm done.
Enthusiasm is 90% of the effort. He tried to sell it. He's 82 years old. He came off as younger than 82.
Dano, he's doing ad-libs, right? He's not rapping the words. He's giving the hype to the crowd. Let's go, let's go.
He had the timing of like when to go.
He did a little bit of call and response there. I told Tony this last night. I was happy to see this last night. I tried to pass the microphone around at Flanagan's, and Tony noticed fairly early as I gave the microphone erroneously to Dave Damashek that Tony needed to help the crowd and help me as somebody who cares about me. And Tony went in and grabbed and did some crowd hype work as I was profoundly disappointed by Cody's effort and Damashek's effort and a general indifference about thanking our customers for loving us the way they do.
Well, Dan, the issue was, right, it's like when you grab a rebound, right, you're off on the break. You got to know where your spots are, right? You can't give the ball to the center crashing through if he's not a guy that can handle the ball. So you're getting the ball, you're getting off the rebound, you're like, all right, I'm going, right? You're Magic Johnson. All of a sudden, you pass over to Kareem, who's in the middle of the court like, Dave Damashek, hey, I'm in this. DJ Laz is playing Gulo in the background by Pitbull. Here's Dave Damashek, and he's like, hey, guys, Pittsburgh, all right. Everybody's like, who the fuck is this guy?
He goes, what TV's the Penguins game on?
Who the hell is this guy?
A bad decision by me. That's the time that Damashek decides to shut up. Thanks to Jimmy Flanagan and the rest of the Flanagan's crew. I told him, and I will tell others, there are not a whole lot of things in Miami, a transient town, that I can say, hey, you are an iconic thing in this market. You have been somebody who is around celebrations and good things in Miami for a long time. And so we are honored to partner with a group of people who don't do a whole lot of partnership because they don't lend that icon stuff casually or flippantly. So when they throw a party, they surprise us with DJ Laz, and they go get they know what in this town has some resonance. There aren't a lot of things. It's a transient town. So our thanks to Flanagan's for supporting us the way they do.
Shout out to Flanagan's, and also shout out to the city of Kendall. I had no idea. What a wonderful part of town.
Oh,
all the years I've been coming to Miami, I had no idea of the immense amounts of talent in the city of Kendall.
Now you get it. Unincorporated, by the way. No city.
Not
We
city.
have no mayor. We have no rules.
Right.
As you could tell.
And I had an incredible speech prepared last night.
Oh, man, that was rough.
I had the wonderful speech prepared. I had written it. It took me all week to write. They gave me the microphone, and as soon as I was like, the music came on.
DJ Laz threw on Culo.
Hard network out.
Hard network out, your boy.
It was perfect timing. Juju was like, and another thing. And then shot the
I immediately grabbed the microphone back and accused DJ Laz of racism.
Yeah, you did. Yes, you did.
In which he played it louder.
The thing that is, I don't know where I'd rank it in terms of most moving when we get to interact with the people who have, as I told many of you last night, just a super intimate relationship with their entertainment option. Like, you can listen to anything, you can have a relationship with anything, but the fact that we're in your car with you, we're on your workouts with you, we're in some spaces where you might otherwise be alone, creates a relationship that is, I believe, super unusual when you're spending 2 and 3 hours a day with us. Many of you bored at work or not loving your jobs very much, and we allow you a couple of hours to get away from your job when you're with us. Very high on the list of things that I find moving about what happened last night is people flying in to be with us in Kendall, or taking these enormously long drives to be with us in Kendall, and then furthermore get introduced to oh, I'm from Kansas. This shit's crazy. The diversity you guys have
You are
here
not in Kansas
is
anymore.
crazy. And why are none of the people wearing very much clothes? Like, I remember Tony Kornheiser said this to me one time when he came back from Miami. He hates to fly, and he was just in a hotel lobby. He was in a hotel lobby, and he's like, is no one in your town dressed? Like, why isn't anyone wearing clothes? And I'm like, Tony, you're 50. How are you already 80? And it's, well, but it is because if you're from Kansas, that diversity is just not something that you're just not around that. So thank you again to Flanagan's and for everyone who came out.
And the effort that all the staff made dressing up.
Shout out to Danielle.
Yeah, everybody except for me. Yeah.
Yeah, Roy, for religious grounds, and again, I don't want to violate any of Roy's freedoms, but he's a sucker.
I'm a sucker.
Wow, whoa, did you just call him the
God.
S word?
Oh, my God.
No one's calling you an SU.
A Halloween. I can call you a Halloween sucker.
I'm offended, Dan.
Well, I know. Is it on religious grounds or that I didn't go hard R?
Yes.
I mean, you are here, and in defending Perk, I find you to be largely alone because Kendrick Perkin exists to say inflammatory things. It's sort of his whole role. He does not mind torching whatever basketball relationships he had in the past while being in public a person who is really critical as a former player of other players while having a championship resume, but also a resume that statistically a lot of the players he criticizes can say, well, who the hell were you to be telling me all this when you were a screen setter and a defensive player, but you are somebody who's a Perk advocate because you love the wrestling elements of sports entertainment, and many broadcasters, most broadcasters, and certainly most former players are totally unwilling to do what Kendrick Perkins does.
Yeah, let me do a regular voice because this is a serious defense I'm going to do of Perk. I think, first of all, Perk, like Shaq, is someone who plays a character on TV, and that character is easy to call dumb or slow-witted or whatever, and especially with a country accent the way Perk talks, it's even easier to do that than it is for Shaq. But he's really smart. He watches a lot of film. He's very well connected across different levels of basketball, youth basketball, college basketball. He's got great intel reports. What he was saying about Ja, obviously, he wasn't saying, I made you a star. He wasn't saying, oh, I taught you how to play basketball, which is where everyone took the comment.
Let me just tell people, as part of context, let me just explain to them what happened with Ja Morant so that they understand what it is that you're defending. Because Ja Morant was also misinterpreted it if you're saying it's misinterpreted. It seemed like Kendrick Perkins was saying to Tony Allen and Zach Randolph, the In the Mud podcast that I thought was made up. It is not made up.
Out the mud.
Excuse me? That's a bad mistake. Yeah. It's not in the mud, it's out the mud. That's the opposite. That's the worst. I couldn't have done it a lot worse
Stuck
than
in
that.
mud, Dano.
The opposite of Elmo.
Yes, it is the opposite of Elmo to go in the mud instead of out the mud. I feel really dumb. He said basically, or it sounded like he said, that the reason that ESPN covered Ja Morant and the reason for Ja Morant's fame and stature and stardom is Perk saying, I brought ESPN to Memphis, spent millions of dollars, he said, to get ESPN to support what Ja Morant is in Memphis and helped with creating his stardom.
Right. Now, what Perk is saying, and this also goes back to something that I always notice, is that there's always an assumption that ESPN as a company knows best, and they always do the right thing. So here the assumption is, Perk, Ja's exciting and they're winning. Of course ESPN was going to go there. No, they weren't. No, they weren't, because the people who make these decisions, and again, to do the whole show from somewhere, it's not like, oh, logically, yes, this guy's a great player. We got to help promote for the game that we broadcast. They're like, really? Memphis? Is John Morant? They don't know. They really don't know. So it does take people being forceful in the same way that First Take is doing shows from HBCUs. That's because people are saying we have to do this, not because someone at ESPN is like, you know what we should do this week? We should go do an HBCU. So what Perk is saying is, yes, you're a great player, and you're exciting, and that you have millions of fans, but the idea that ESPN would do a show is because I was campaigning behind the scenes for that to happen. And lest anybody think that I'm off when I say this, remember this. Last year, the Oklahoma City Thunder were amazing from the year before. They weren't on Christmas Day. And everyone's like, how could the Thunder not be on Christmas Day? I was like, because the broadcasters are the ones saying, really? Oklahoma? I don't know. Now they're on all the time because we know they're great. They won the championship. But it really takes sometimes individuals behind the scenes who are emphasizing and saying, no, you have to do this. Now, the part where Perk loses me is he does the whole like, oh, you made me look bad. Man, it ain't John Morant's job to help you look good, Perk, right? Like that's neither here nor there. That's just the way things work. Your decision to pump up and hype up John Morant as a TV product is career-driven. It's not because he's your boy and you're doing him a favor. And so the way Perk was kind of making his argument felt like a very personal level. And say, oh, I'm still cool with his dad, but I'm not cool with John. Like, no, you did what you did because it was the right thing for your career and for the job itself, to do the job, not necessarily because, oh, I'm doing my boy a favor.
I mean, can you explain the millions of dollars situations? Like how does that? What does he mean by that? I spent millions of dollars to get ESPN.
That ESPN. He's saying it costs a lot to get a whole production crew. It doesn't cost millions. Maybe it does. Millions to get a crew of ESPN people out to Memphis to do stuff from Memphis. It costs plenty.
It costs a lot of money. It's not like merely a camera and a stick mic and we're good. There's a lot of moving parts there.
Well, and Kendrick getting that to happen, like, that's why we constantly talk about why it's important to have a diversity of thought and a diversity of people in these production rooms, right? Because you need people who are coming up with these ideas of, hey, this is a place that nobody else is talking about, that there can be something interesting happening. It's why having Tony in a production room would get people down to Kendall, which is something that's really exciting and cool because nobody from Connecticut is thinking about that. And that's why having Kendrick Perkins around and going, hey, this thing that's happening in Memphis, it's exciting and there's energy around it. So let's get our people out there to do something like this. It's why it's so important to have so many different voices in the room.
Well, when you talk about diversity, I want to ask you this, Amin, because I know that Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes sort of object to how Shannon Sharp did his job on First Take or on Undisputed, where you're trafficking in the black-on-black crime of I'm going to be loudly critical of other black people. Stephen A. Smith gets a lot of this objection, a lot of very strong objection to the idea of you need to do better when talking about other black people and being critical of other black people because you too are a black voice and leader that needs to be judicious about how it is that you take your criticism and turn it into profit. Kendrick Perkins is doing something that is objected to by other basketball people who say you're using your platform gained from being a guy who set screens and averaged 4 points a game but was a champion to be more critical of athletes than almost all other broadcasters in your position. And I'm not saying
critical of their play or critical of other issues.
Well, but John Morant.
John Morant's not a play thing. That wasn't about.
Correct. It was about behavior.
Yeah.
But I want you to walk me through as someone who has to be. You have to walk this line. Mm-hmm. You have to make choices every time you're being critical of. Do I want to be somebody who is a critic of my own culture? And how careful do I have to be when everyone else is already piling on John Morant? John Morant is already getting piled on for behavior, and so I want your assessment of this.
So the background, he's doing the Out the Mud podcast. That is a Memphis Grizzlies type podcast. Those guys were Memphis Grizzlies icons, TA and Zebo. So it's not like he was doing our show, and then he said, you know what I'm going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about John Morant. So there's a context to why he was talking about it, where he was talking about it. The criticism, again, what he said is that, look, I vouched for you, in essence. I vouched for you with the worldwide leader. That means something. That doesn't mean I helped you play. That doesn't mean I helped you win. You did all that on your own. That doesn't mean I made you exciting or marketable or someone who should get a shoe deal. You did all that on your own. But there is a difference when that place comes to Memphis. He doesn't play in New York. He doesn't play in L.A. He doesn't play down here in Miami where it's, oh, yeah, let's do a road show there. It's a city nobody likes to go to. Let's be honest, right? And so that's what Perk is saying there. Again, my thing is when you make it personal, like, oh, you let me down. Like, no, man, you're doing your job. You did a great job of doing your job, and leave it at that. And I think, so when we talk about criticizing, right, whether it's Stephen A. or Shannon or Perk or whoever, I think when the criticisms are nuanced and fair, I think people can accept that. The thing is about those guys on those shows is often there's no room for nuance, and a lot of it is theatrical and over the top. And so when you are basically blunting everything out, then people feel like, wait a second, you're just profiting by talking about me in a bad way because that's what gets clicks and views and likes. And I think that's a fair counter argument, but this idea that any of us who do this job, we're not allowed to criticize, bro, what is the job? We're not cheerleaders. Your team has a department that does that. Your personal team has people who do that, all the positive stuff. Our job is to explain to people what happened and what went wrong and what went right. And in that course of that, some people are going to be held accountable. If it's fair, if we're not making stuff up, if we're not, just, or we're not going overly personal with the criticisms, then I don't think anyone has a problem with that.
Yeah, I think that's what the problem was with this. He made it more personal than it should be. He said, I don't F with Ja Morant. It wasn't that he said, I don't like his play or I don't like his decisions. He said, I don't F with that man. And so when you say that, it's hard to come back no matter what you say after that. It's like, oh, it's smoke.
Well, when you mention smoke, the thing that I love about all the smoke is that those guys in their 40s can do everything they're doing without any of it looking inauthentic or preening because they are consistently themselves, and it's why people do like them so much because you know that all of that is authentic, not just their relationship, but everything they're doing. And those two guys specifically say of Shannon Sharpe, no, I'm not doing it the way that you do it, where that access that you have is different than the access that we have, and we're going to stay in our lane over here, and we don't respect the way that you do it in your lane over there. And there's just an undercurrent of everything that I'm talking about here that makes it complicated, right? Because I don't think that anybody would say of Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson that they're cheerleaders, but I also don't say that anyone would say of them that they're inauthentic.
I don't think so either. But again, their show is different. They have an interview show. If I'm bringing in, I'm sitting down with Juju. We're about to talk about Juju's career. We're going to ask Juju about fun stories. We're talk about hard times that he went through. It is an interview-based show. It is not an analysis of what's happening where Juju, your team's down 40, and you're kind of over here like doing the N1 mixtape stuff and turning it over, just kind of laughing and running back up court. There's a difference there in the nature of the show. And again, this goes back to Dan when I talked about people not understanding the different role, not having any nuance. People who conflate Stephen A. Smith with Tim Legler, with Mike Breen, no, these are all different roles and different jobs, much like these shows are different shows. A debate show is about debating. It's really not about being nuanced. It's not about teaching you about the game versus a studio show is more about teaching. And an interview show is more feature-driven. Like, hey, let's get to know these people.
All important context, but when you do a debate show, you're going to end up in circumstances where, as a black person, you're going to be offered a lot of singular judgments, case-by-case judgments. How critical do you want to be here of another black person? Like, are you going to pile on with everyone else when everyone else is already piling on? The daily nature of debate makes those decisions come up daily, and you have to be nuanced when you're making decisions between Do I separate, and can I be discerning enough to separate what my cultural responsibilities are from my job responsibilities? Like, it's a decision that has to be made on every story that's coming across your desk that involves criticizing a black athlete.
Yeah, but again, I feel like it all depends. Again, if John Morant has a bad game, I'm not supposed like, I don't understand, like, because I'm black and he's black, I'm not supposed to say he had a bad game? I'm supposed to just go along with it? Like,
I think the cultural stuff. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No. I was.
But yeah, I think the cultural stuff involves just keeping it respectful, like keeping it about the basketball. Like, we're not gonna go and pile on and say the same thing that every other network is saying. If you're not gonna provide, like you say, some nuance to the situation, the pile on is extra when it comes from a brother. But at the same time, what you do, I can talk about. Like you say, if you have a bad game, bro, it was a bad game. If you got caught with guns, I'm sorry, bro. I got to talk about it.
Yeah. The thing is, too, like, do people want nuance? Right? Like, it just feels like everybody wants clips. Everybody wants, oh, I saw what Stephen A. said or what Shannon said or what this person or what Cam and May said. Like, I see this in clips of 30 seconds on TikTok. Do people want the nuance behind it?
That's the crazy thing. Because, Tony, everyone claims, remember the Russell Westbrook documentary? And I would say 40% of it was, you talk about the media, and it's just Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, and Colin Cowherd again and again and again. And I'm like, you complain about the media, but you're really talking about three very particular guys who do a particular type of show. There's a zillion. I never heard nobody say, like, oh, that's Zach Lowe. Part of it is because Zach Lowe's stuff is nuanced, but also part of it is because y'all don't listen to it, right? Like, if you are one of these athletes, you're like, oh, where's the nuanced analysis? Oh, it's right here. I ain't listening to that shit. Right? Like, that's like, what do you want? Do you want the nuanced, smart stuff? It's right here. If your perception of media is just debate culture, then you're part of the problem.
When you talk about podcasts, I recommend strongly the Mina Kimes podcast with Lenny if you want a bombardment of useful information that will help you with your gambling edges, because when she sits down with either Dominique or Bill Barnwell, the amount of information that you are getting that explains to you how it is and why it is that the Steelers are going to be able to throw to the tight ends against the Colts defense that isn't exceptional at much of anything, but is exceptionally unexceptional at covering tight ends, you will get some probability advantages that you will not get anywhere else in podcasts that I have heard. It is a ton of information that they are giving you that is super sophisticated. Also giving you good information via podcast is Pablo Torre, though it is different. It is not gambling information. And we have the origin story of Pablo Torre, how he became what he became, how that podcast decided to take the lane of, I'm going to beat everyone else at having more thorough information than anyone else. Dave Damashek and the Football America show that is on Mondays and Fridays. Damashek's still in Kendall right now talking about Bubby Brister and Tom Barrasso.
Where was that when you handed him the mic?
Yeah, none of that. I got none of that when I handed him the microphone. But he got, you guys are curious, how did Pablo become that guy? How did Pablo become the one who wants to have more information than everyone else? Here's the story at Ground Zero.
Did you, as an investigative reporter watching The Sixth Sense, how early in that movie did you go like, oh, he's dead?
I was inspired to become an investigative journalist because I didn't see it coming, and I vowed to never feel that embarrassment ever again.
Origin story. Yeah. We have a Pablo origin story. Yeah.
Like in Signs, M. Night Shyamalan, is the cave that Bane was raised in for me. I'm just like, oh, it was water. The aliens didn't like water. I never got over that.
Like Spider-Man with his powers. I will never let bad deeds go unchecked again.
Damashek was just crushing garlic rolls last night at Flanagan.
Such bad breath. Such bad breath.
I saw him like eat 10.
Here for my honeymoon. I'm going to come back and I feel like things are just going to be gone. There's the possibility like the shipping container room just floated off into the Atlantic Ocean.
We're still not out of hurricane season.
Yeah, I am going to fall it's very easy to fall very far behind, very fast when it comes to the amount of stimulation and news and sports stuff that you are getting. Billy was off the grid. He comes back. Everything's changed except his inability to say anything quickly. So
it's white now.
Everything is different. Like you
That's the most efficient you've ever been.
Yes. Look at that. Did you learn something on your honeymoon? Okay, so lest you think he has cured his ills of not being efficient, please play for the audience. This is Billy Rusty returning from his honeymoon. Just him simply trying to say where he was.
I've had a lot of awkwardness, well, in my entire life, I guess. But recently I've had a bunch of awkwardness. So I'd say from the honeymoon, I think the most memorable thing that we did was, so in Barbados, they have an annual carnival, right? Or carnival or whatever, right? It's called Crop Over. And it's at the end, well, it's actually called Kadooment. But that's
for the love of
story.
God. All right, go sit outside for a second. We'll get back to it. Whoa! You would have kept going. You would have given it 20 names if I didn't cut you off and kick you out. You would have given it 20 names. Actually, the roots of the word come from the 1700s and indigenous people.
I was upset you did that to Billy his first day back, but hearing it back, he absolutely deserved it.
Again, yes. I want you to hear again, just Mike, the last part of it, where he's simply trying to say, Billy is simply trying to tell us, this is a very simple transaction. Hey, Billy, where were you? What were you doing? He gets snagged and stuck on where were you?
I've had a lot of awkwardness, well, in my entire life, I guess. But recently I've had a bunch of awkwardness. So I'd say from the honeymoon, I think the most memorable thing that we did was, so in Barbados, they have an annual carnival, right? Or carnival or whatever, right? It's called Crop Over. And it's at the end, well, it's actually called Kadooment, but that's a different story.
All right, go sit outside for How do I not get frustrated with that? Like, I missed it for 10 days, but I don't miss it anymore.
Those are important details. I normally don't hear, but I heard it.
All right, start again then. And real quick, Mike, just the short version. Billy being asked, where were you, Billy, on your honeymoon? This is a simple question. It gets a simple response in most circumstances, unless you're talking to Billy.
So in Barbados, they have an annual carnival, right? Or carnival or whatever, right? It's called Crop Over. And it's at the end, well, it's actually called Kadooment, but that's a different story.
All right, Billy, we've established where you are and what it's called, kind of. Now, proceed.
All right, so this is how it works. Crop Over is like a couple months long, and Kadooment is like the grand finale, and it's like a carnival type thing, and you guys will see from time to time, every once in a while, Rihanna will go back to Barbados, and she'll be like parading in the streets, and it's like Brazilian carnival, basically. So we wanted to do that, which is not something that at all is something that I would probably ever be in my comfort zone, right? You would think me parading.
Well, it's a lack of repressions. It is free, liberated people being themselves. So of course that's the worst place in the world for you to be soaked in fear.
Oh, it gets worse. So to participate in this, you have to sign up with what are called bands, and they have a bunch of different bands that you sign up for. So we found a band, and then I get my costume. You have to pay to get costumes. So I'm going through the streets, and I'm shirtless, and I'm in pink shorts and a cowboy hat and all this fake jewelry that they have on, that it's like massive, like this pendant around my chest and like these arm cuffs. So I'm like going through the streets dressed not in all way that I'd ever be comfortable doing it. And I thought that, you know what, it's like a parade. It'll be like the Three Kings parade that they have in Dade County, and it'll be like a couple blocks, whatever, Thanksgiving Day parade. So when we're in the taxi to get there, I asked the guy, I go, how long is this parade? And he's like, oh, it's 9 to 10 miles. And I'm like, whoa. 9 to 10 miles, like that cannot be right. So I'm like feverishly looking through my phone. Like, I need to find the parade route. I need to know exactly where I'm going through Barbados. I need to know.
You're doing this with like bejeweled and all sorts of fake jewelry.
Oh yeah, dressed like a clown in the back of it. And don't get me started on Barbados taxis, because it doesn't cost $20 American to go everywhere. Okay, like I went like 10 blocks. $20 is way too much to go on a taxi 10 blocks. All right.
Once you're in the cab in their territory, they've got you, Bill. It doesn't matter. You're lucky it was only $20.
Put it on the poll. Once you're on the cab in in their territory, do they have you?
It's a home game for them.
A bit steep for the amount of travel that we were, like 2 miles, $20 seems like a lot, but whatever. So I find out that it's actually a 10K, which is like 6 miles. But either way, I'm not prepared to be walking through the heat dressed like a clown for 6 miles. I haven't walked 6 miles in my life, I don't think. I don't know the last time I did it. And I wasn't wearing my Fitbit, so none of the steps counted. That's the only reason I wear my Fitbit, so my steps count. But if I don't wear my Fitbit, the steps don't count. So it was a total waste of time walking through here. And I was sunburned, obviously. There was lots of
the jewelry. From the jewelry,
oh,
were you?
If I could show you the burn that I had.
Please do. Like,
oh wow!
I had a giant circle here for a little bit. Yeah, there was a big circle here for a little bit. Yeah. Everyone was drinking alcohol, but I was drinking water. I thought I was going to pass out and die on the street.
You were careful and
obviously.
responsible at Carnival.
I had to pee so many times, and you had to pay extra to use the wee-wee card. You know what the wee-wee card is? I didn't. I had to ask, what is the wee-wee card? It was basically this flatbed truck with like 6 or 7 porta potties on the back of it, and you had to just kind of hop on it while it's moving, and then go into the porta potty and then hop out.
That's a heady play, man.
That's wonderful.
That sounds delightful.
Very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Man, you guys talk about some weird. Time for some ads.
So what was the most awkward?
Is here for you and me. With that we can all agree. So many receptions mean a count had the perception that he could become the MVP. We should all anticipate this cause he's got precision greatness echoing throughout eternity. Sanford throws a frozen rope in and in proof his hands are open. It's a touchdown for you and me. Everybody do the puka polka. His quarterback is not named Tungavaloa. So come along now, rise and shout to the whole world about Nakua for you and me.
I heard that Yeti, who is a fundamentally decent person, great talent, and a never-ending hustler, I heard that he was furious with Jason Benetti, who is one of the most decent people that there have ever been. What is the nature of the feud?
Well, Jason Benetti heard the Puka Polka and claimed that there were 12 key changes and was critical of the Tua lyrics. Clearly not getting the show, because obviously Tua is a really important part of the Puka Nakua song that we have from before. But what he said specifically to me, and I think several others, is Jason Benetti would not know a key change if it hit him in the face.
Yeah, he was furious. He called me. He's like, we got to get him on the Greg Cody show. I need to tell him that he wouldn't know if it hit him in the... He wouldn't know a key change if it hit him on the broadside.
The broadside, huh?
Broadside of what?
He just didn't want to repeat exactly what Jeremy had just said moments
So the quote
before.
the quote that he sent to everybody.
I have an exact quote right here. Benetti wouldn't know a keychain if it bit him in the ass. There are 0. Just one chord that makes it feel like a change.
An indignant Yeti on behalf of his vigilant protection of no key change.
In all fairness to Yeti, what the hell does Jason Benetti know about key change?
That's true. I wanted to ask you guys something here before we get into the matter of the Philadelphia 76ers, and are they really going to be better?
We let that slip, Tony.
Yeah, no, I know. It's a long day. I had a long night last night.
No, I heard that.
No, I know. I felt the horse's mask turn to me.
Well, you guys are all in a state of disrepair here because of last night. And I will say, because I don't want to move away from it too quickly, even though it is self-involved, and even though you guys are always making fun of me for the amount of time that I spend cornered at those things, or you say I'm cornered, even though I'm deeply appreciative of our customers because they allow us to do the things that we do and being fiercely independent here at a time of great media turbulence. We are very well positioned as the economy is about to fall apart and the media is falling apart. We are very well positioned because we knew that those people would catch us when we left ESPN. We just knew it. Not a lot of people can say that they just know it. And the reason I know it is because I see it every time we go do anything like this. I know Juju sees it online, and online can be a pretty toxic experience, but Juju knows how these people feel about us. And when they come and show us, I say to everyone, and I mean it, it is the deepest of sincerities, I appreciate those people as much as they appreciate us because they are our business. Like, they show up every time we ask them to. They show up in droves, moved emotionally, and it makes me emotional this deep into our careers to have young people, specifically young people, who have this passed down from their parents and getting I was listening in the back of the car. I've been listening for 21 years to allow an old sports writer to still reach young people. Like, I can't be more grateful for it than I am. So I am genuinely moved by it every time we do something like this.
It is wild the difference in reactions you get in person and online. Like, I'm always thinking when I have a nice interaction with somebody in person, I'm like, have you ever told me you hate me online?
Right. Fun fact, and this is between us. It's this guy who been coming at me online for like a year and a half now. He been sending me all kind of bad messages and stuff like that. How he hates the sound of my voice and all of that. And then last night I saw him because I remember.
No way.
The first thing he touched me, he was like, "Ooh, brother, you taller and bigger than I thought you was. How you doing? Can I get a picture?" So salute to the fans, but I remember.
That seems like that's the opposite of salute to the fans.
Salute to them.
I remember, and I'm muscular, and I'm strong, and I'm bigger than you. I thought.
To keep the energy. If you're going to have the energy to call me out them names online, when you see me, say the same thing.
Well, this is much easier to do anonymously. Look, the internet has created all manner of acid and poison that there's no accounting for, that has changed. Even the athlete says, and Juju says, like, they're different today than they were before in protection of their brand because of how it is that people can be on the internet. There's a cruelty to it. But one of our contest winners yesterday, in a sheepish moment, came over to me and said, yeah, first time I heard him on the show, I texted in. His name should be Pablo Bore. That's okay. It's a good line.
Oh, man.
All right, it's getting worse and worse. You're doing it worse and worse on purpose so I don't keep going to it. Like, I see your move. Even though I can't see your face, I see what's happening there. I wanted to ask you guys before we get to the Sixers, the movement in baseball that I have seen happen since Moneyball that is super interesting. And this was shown in film by Brad Pitt making Philip Seymour Hoffman seem like a fool when Art Howe was winning as the manager of the A's 90 games a season. But Billy Beane saw the revolution of analytics and math, and so the Nationals have just hired Blake Butera. He is, as their manager, he is 33 years old. This is after the Giants have gone into the college ranks for the first time to get a college baseball manager named Tony Vitello. And I wanted to ask you to look up for me, how many players on the Nationals are older than the manager? Because this is as young as managers get. I'm assuming that there hasn't been a manager this young in more than 50 years, if there's ever been one this young, 33 years old. And it's because the reason this is happening more than any other is the front offices have taken over to such an effect in terms of controlling the information and the power that they want someone in the dugout who is quite literally a middle manager on, you are the spot. You're not in charge. You're not the skipper of the ship. You are the guy who's managing the clubhouse for us, but you will be somebody who does the work of the front office in that clubhouse. And if a 33-year-old can do it, even though the job is people management, we need somebody who's a bridge between front office information and power and those players. And so you can make them younger. If those guys are going to come from data and computers and I know the analytics of the game, you can keep making them younger if all you want in that clubhouse is someone who connects to players of that age and is going to be an informational bridge between the front office is in charge, and you will do this the way that the front office wants it done. You can hire them at 29, 25, and you'll find Sean McVays. You will if they're people who have grown up from a generation of, It doesn't matter so much if you want to be in charge guy. You're going to be guy who's middle manager on behalf of the front office.
So you said Butero's 33. There was only one player on the Nationals at the moment who is 33 years old. That's Josh Bell. 32-year-old Jorge Alfaro is the next oldest player, which is crazy because I feel like we all remember when he was like 24 years old with the Marlins. But this is part of, I know we all remember Juju in particular, but when you look at what the Marlins did this year, right? So much of what their communication style was with their managers that allowed a lot of those guys to overachieve with the manager and the coaching staff was that guys like Carson Vitale, their bench coach, just a young guy who knew how to properly communicate with that roster because there wasn't such a difference between who they were. Their catching coach, Joe Singley, is 27 years old. Like, that's who their catching coach was, working with the 22 and 23-year-olds. So that's the type of bridge that you want to have.
Is this only working in baseball? Right? Because of the fact that everything is so analytical, everything is so by the numbers. You have all these people just doing all this math, and then the managers, they're kind of like, all right, yeah, you. But it's like they're really doing it from up top. In basketball, does that work? In football, does that work? In college football and college hoops, like, is that something that could be replicated where the coaches can get younger because of the information that's being shared?
It's a job generally that requires the respect of the employees. So in baseball, for example, what has been problematic from that position in the past is players who do not like a manager who wasn't any good as a player. Like, that was something in the previous age that my manager better have been somebody who was good at baseball. Otherwise, why is he here telling me anything about anything? But this shift has been so dramatic. Is it something that's happening in basketball? I mean, because Eric Spoelstra was a young man. We've seen him get old, but he began this job as a young man, and he began this job specifically as a young man who was going to be a bridge to the front office.
I think when you are a player, or the players in the NBA, there is a level of built-in respect that happens when you're a former player. Like that you get through the door immediately, okay, I'll hear you out. But then once that initial respect is over, the thing they respect is preparation and knowledge, right? Like, you are ready for every scenario. And that's the thing where the non-playing coaches, they might have a higher barrier of gaining the trust, but typically the reason why they're there to begin with is because they're very prepared and they know what they're talking about. And so that's the stuff. So when you talk about Spo, you talk about Mike Brown, right? Like, these are all guys, Brad Stevens, when he was coaching. These are all guys that weren't players, but the players really respected, man, this guy really knows his stuff. Like, when I ask him a question, he's got an answer or an idea. Now, when you don't have that, when you lack that ability, or if you lack an ability to be inclusive in decision-making, that's when they start to turn.
It is funny, though, because I do remember, I don't remember the player, but I do remember the story of Lenny Wilkins is one of the winningest coaches ever, and a player, because he was around so long and was so old, was like, oh, you played?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, you didn't know that Lenny Wilkins was great, but there's other stories like Paul Silas. Who did he stuff into a locker? One of his players?
Tyrus Thomas.
Because he just proved to him that I played. Look, like, that's an old coach, but didn't he just physically throw him into a locker?
Well, Coach Silas is a big man. I've told the story before. My first job in the NBA was working for the Hawks, and Rick Mahorn was an assistant coach. Rick Mahorn is the first NBA person I legitimately knew. He knocked over the boxes on my first day, and we've been friends ever since.
Physically imposing.
Absolutely. Rick Mahorn is terrifying. So we had a meet and greet where the fans after the game could get autographs, and so because Rick's famous for a team that won like 20 games, we were like, oh, but that guy's a champion. So there's a long line of fans who are signing, Rick signing. And we had just played, I want to say, the Cavs, and Coach Silas has done all his post-game stuff, and he comes up and he goes like this. I'm standing next to Rick because of crowd control, whatever. He goes like this to me, shh, and then walks and slaps the ever-living shit out of the back of Rick Mahorn's neck. I mean, pop! And I've never seen Rick angry at me before. It was steam, and he's going to kill me. He was going to kill me, right? It didn't matter how many witnesses. And then he looks and he sees it was Paul Silas, and he just starts laughing. And I said, oh, wait, hold on. You were ready to kill me. And he's like, that's a bad man right there. That's Rick Mahorn telling me, like, I'm not going to try Paul Silas.
Tell people the story, because I don't remember the details, obviously. Paul Silas took one of his 6'11" players,
Tyrus Thomas,
and
6'9".
threw him in a locker.
It was
as an old man.
So yeah, this is when he's coaching the Bobcats. The Bobcats are terrible. Tyrus Thomas had come from Chicago. He had signed a big deal. There was an expectation that he was going to be a star. It really didn't work out that way. But allegedly, I don't know, but like they got into a shouting match, and then the shouting match got physical, and he hemmed them up and threw them into the locker. People think about like stuffed into the locker like high school and shit.
Like Pablo Torre style.
Yeah, Pablo Torre style. That's how it happened. It's like he shoved them backward into his locker. And NBA lockers, if you haven't seen them, are massive.
You know what that is, though? I mean,
old man strength?
Old black man strength.
The highest quality.
There's been an epic battle going on while y'all been talking about this seriousness. Dan, between you and that hat, bro, if you going to keep it on or off, he was mid-sentence and took the hat off and put it back on.
This is part of the joy and frustration, and for the audience, the fun of the absurdity of wearing what is the shittiest costume I've ever had on. I could feel this material seems like rayon, and this is coming from a man who spent $34 on a brown suit for Bad Bunny. So I know
that's it with $34.
I know what cheap materials sound like, look like. Jeremy, can you look up for me how old Paul Silas was when he did this? Because he's in his late 50s when he's taking when he's taking an NBA player.
He was a lot older then. He was an old man. Like he was an old man when he slapped the shit out of Rick Mahorn.
Okay, so you're saying that Paul Silas? When I said late 50s, you're going to put him in
older.
In his late 60s?
He was 69.
Yep.
Nice.
So a 69-year-old Paul Silas took a power forward who was in his prime and threw him into a locker.
Yeah.
That is old black man strength, and that must be the highest quality of strength. Put it on the poll. Is Paul Silas's 69-year-old old man, black man's strength the highest quality of strength?
Can I make a confession? I thought your outfit the other day was the Dick in the Box. I didn't know that was Bad Bunny. He looked like the Dick in the Box, the Lonely Island thing. Yeah, from SNL. No, he didn't look like a Dick in the skit.
6'7".
The Philadelphia 76ers, is all of that real? They are undefeated. I saw they came back strong against the Wizards. They were down in that game, and they ended up winning that game. But it's not possible, is it? It's not possible that Daryl Morey would get celebrated for the idea of pairing Paul George with Joel Embiid, and then it's going to be Maxey and Edgecombe make them better than they were with Paul George and Joel Embiid. That's not possible, is it?
Dan, it's pretty amazing. Go ahead, Juju, go ahead first.
I got a hot take, bro. I think the Sixers should trade Joel Embiid and Paul George right damn now. Get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off.
But what do you get for Joel Embiid? 20 cents on the dollar? A quarter on the dollar for Joel Embiid? Like, he's too good of a player to ship off somewhere else. Right? Let's say Miami has a play for him. They buy him for 20 cents on the dollar, and then somehow he gets revitalized here, and then all Sixers Nation's like, wait a second, we got what for him? A second-round pick?
What are your thoughts here, on Joel Embiid? I've heard a lot of washed, finished, and I'm like, can that be? Because we've seen the evolution, we've seen the revolution. When that player first arrived in the league, my thoughts were, not unlike with Victor Wembanyama, wait a minute, that's going to be dominant for 10 years. That size is not something I'm used to shooting threes. Like, he's at the very beginning of what all of that was. The Karl Anthony Towns, where you're like, whoa, that's from distance, something that's never shot like that at that size. You guys are willing to say not merely trade Joel Embiid now when his value is lower than it's been ever, but you're also spent, that the body is spent, that he is physically washed and will not recover.
I think it's about his preparation. I saw a story from Markieff Morris that before the 70-point game he had last year, he did not warm up at all before the game. He got there 20 minutes before the game and just played the game and felt like, oh, man, this is too easy. And I think that has soaked into his brain, thinking it's easier to get by as him versus put in the hard work.
Like they did in past generations that set the stage for the game. No, the thing about Joel Embiid, Dan, is a couple things. Number one, health. Are these injuries resolved? It doesn't seem so. He's on a minutes restriction right now, playing 20 minutes a game, because that's the only way you can have him out there without fear of him falling apart. Number two, and this is huge, this July, ESPN published a great feature on him by Dotun Akintoye about Joel Embiid. And if you read it, you'll learn a lot more about him as a person and the personality things and the traumas that he's experienced, which have led him to become the person he is today. And it did two things. One, it greatly humanized him in a way that even I didn't think I gave him enough credit for what he'd been through. But two, that motherfucker don't trust nobody. Nobody. Dan, he's leaving $20 bills on the table to see if someone would steal it. When you have a superstar who does not trust his teammates, who does not trust his coaching staff, who does not trust his front office, even if it's justified, it's very hard to build a championship contender around that.
And that trust goes down. He doesn't even trust his own body, right? Like, that's kind of almost the biggest thing. I was just talking to Amin about Wemby and the comparison with Joel Embiid when you were making, Dan. It's like Wemby is so fleet of foot. He's so thin. He's so nimble in a way that Joel Embiid is the complete opposite, right? He's just like big and plodding. He's so menacing and huge. But the problem is, like, he makes one move and it's like he falls like a statue. He just doesn't have the ability or the agility to like make things and get out of the way when he can get hurt.
Dan, one of the things, an excerpt from this excellent piece, I urge everyone to read it, says, those who need to reach him do so through his assistant or his wife. His replies can take months. Quote, I have a reputation of being not a good texter, adding that he probably has 10,000 unread messages. You're kidding, the writer says. Joel reaches for the phone, taps the screen, and leans forward to show. More than 9,500 unread texts, 875 missed calls. Some of the messages are years old. Quote, I just can't do it, he says. I ask who this annoys most in his life. Quote, everybody.
You guys describing Joel Embiid as big and plodding? I'm like, you got to be kidding me! Like when that guy came out of college, I'm like, that's physically changing the sport in a way that makes me think about Shaq, like Shaq reminiscent in terms of size, but nimble as hell, like a whole. Like I don't think of him as big and plodding until you remind me how often he's on the floor, and you remind me that during the playoffs, he got his face totally broken, tried to play through it. He had a dunk that I thought his career ended when he landed, and he played soon thereafter, like next game, where I thought his career was over the moment that he landed. But I'm not ready yet for you guys to tell me the athlete has evolved so much that Joel Embiid is big and plodding. Like, you cannot say that to my face and say, in the last 5 years, that athlete's body has deteriorated so much and the sport has changed so much that he is no longer somebody who's as athletic as just about anything I've seen in the sport.
But Dan, he fell on the floor and somebody fell on him and he tore his meniscus. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, meniscus tears happen when somebody rolls up on you, you bend the knee this way, you do that. Like, he has injuries where you're like, he had Bell's palsy. I know that that's a different story, but it's like, how many freak things can happen to one person?
Well, that's stress related, and I want to get to Matthew Berry because he's here to give away money, and he's done this the last couple of weeks. Like the thing that he just did in that Jets-Bengals game, that was a magic trick where he's like, yeah, all the running backs, they're just going to be spilling money all over the field if you want to pick it up. Just take the running backs for the Jets, and you will be wealthy beyond your wildest dreams if you follow Matthew Berry's advice. But just getting back to the trust thing real quick before we onboard Matthew Berry, the quotes that came from Joel Embiid after there were some leaks in the Sixers locker room that felt to me like quotes of somebody who's just looking around all the time wondering who's going to betray me next. I don't trust anybody. That seemed like a poison to me that would really hurt somebody when they were away from the facility and make them not want to come to the facility. That information leaked during a meeting, and it didn't seem like he trusted anybody in his huddle.
Which is ironic because his nickname is The Process, and Philly always wants you to trust the process. And I think that this stage of the process is him being out of here.
Oh, look, the horse wants its music. The horse wants its imaging.
Matthew Berry. Matthew Berry. Matthew Berry.
Matthew Berry! He's giving away money. I'm not kidding you. He has all of the advantages, all of the inefficiencies. Matthew Berry, what do you have for us this week? I'm writing it down because you are the only reason I'm not losing money on the weekends. I've been losing money on the weekends for several years now because I make too many bets on things that are wrong. But you have information that's better than mine, so let's hear it.
Happy to help out, Dan. Happy Halloween to everyone out there. Only one team in the NFL allows more fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks than the Pittsburgh Steelers. 5 of the last 6 quarterbacks to face the Steelers have thrown for at least 2 touchdown passes. Maybe you take the over there, especially with Daniel Jones. By the way, quarterbacks who face the Steelers also average 293 passing yards. Some prop betting advice for you. There's where I like Daniel Jones this week. How about Sam Darnold? In 2 of the last 3 games, he's finished as a top 10 fantasy quarterback. He's had at least 2 touchdown passes in 4 of the last 6. And since week 2, only one team in the NFL gives up more fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks than my beloved Washington Commanders. Sigh. Sam Darnold, of course, plays them. Every single game this year, the Cincinnati Bengals have allowed at least 87 yards from scrimmage to an opposing running back. Running backs that have seen at least 12 touches against the Bengals this year, averaging over 20 fantasy points per game. DeAndre Swift, who plays the Bengals this week, has had at least 13 touches in every game this season. DeAndre Swift did not practice yesterday, so it's worth grabbing Kyle Monangai because if Swift is out, Monangai would be a very interesting running back 2 this week against Cincy. Tyrone Tracy has had 8 career games in which he's had at least 15 touches, and in those 8 games, he averages 15 fantasy points. By the way, the Giants 6th in running back target share against the 49ers, who are bottom 10 in most fantasy points allowed to opposing running backs. Of course, no Cam Scatterbo, Tyrone Tracy in for a big workload this weekend, as is Bam Knight. Bam Knight, of all people, over the last 2 games that he's played, Bam Knight actually has 29 touches. 29 touches, including 80% of the Cardinals' goal-to-go rush attempts. And over the last 4 weeks, only one team in the NFL has given up more rushing yards to opposing running backs than the Dallas Cowboys, who Bam Knight plays. I mean, let's not get crazy. It's Bam Knight. But still, you could do worse and probably have. Hey, speaking of the Cowboys, in every game this year but one, the Cowboys have allowed at least 17 fantasy points to an opposing wide receiver. No team in the NFL has allowed more touchdowns on deep passes than the Dallas Cowboys. 43% of Marvin Harrison's targets this year have come on deep passes. Kind of like Marvin Harris over on the longest reception as well. Last week in his first game back, Christian Watson had a 65% route participation. His average depth of target was over 18 yards, 18.2 to be exact. And in 4 of the last 5 games, the Carolina Panthers have allowed at least 1 touchdown to a wide receiver. Final one here. In his last game before his week 8 bye, now he's on the injury report, so watch this. But if he plays, before he went on the bye, Travis Hunter had a 30% target share, an 89% route participation. Both numbers are season high. The Raiders allow the highest catch rate in the NFL to slot wide receivers. Travis Hunter runs 40% of his routes out of the slot. Love me some Travis
I'm
Hunter.
sorry. I think we're going to hurt you here. I think we're going to hurt you on Travis Hunter, right?
Matthew Berry, Jaguars wide receiver cornerback Travis Hunter was hurt during practice Thursday and will be put on IR and miss at least 4 games, according to Liam Cohen.
No! I knew he was on the injury report. I didn't know it had come out that he was serious. Like the last I had heard, I driving in and just saw this. So that is disappointing. But yeah, you know what that means? Parker Washington, who's a slot wide receiver. You're like, who the hell is Parker Washington? He's a slot wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and yeah, that's a tough break for Travis Hunter. But that's good to know. Wow, that must have just come out.
Literally 5 minutes ago.
Okay, good. Because I was
on your Fantasy Life app, by the way. I get my notifications from the Fantasy Life
while
app.
We're
Baby,
sitting there staring at you in that ridiculous bow tie simulation. You had information sneak past you, and I looked at your face, and the despair that came across your face hurt me on your behalf. Not because you embarrassed yourself publicly, but because you'd lost the money of Travis Hunter has an advantage this weekend. I researched this so thoroughly. You do not understand how hard it is to find these golden gems in the mountain of information that there is in football every week, and yours immediately became outdated.
Yes. Maybe we got Travis Hunter up there on the wall, so we'll have to adjust that. It's a bummer there. I got one more for you then, because we lost out on Hunter. How about this? In 3 of the past 4 weeks, Kyle Pitts has actually finished as a top 12 tight end. So far this year, the Patriots allow the 5th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Drake London has been a little bit banged up, missed last week. I actually think Kyle Pitts is usable this week.
Check out Matthew's Fantasy Football Happy Hour weekdays live on YouTube at noon Eastern.
Matthew Berry.
Matthew Berry.
Matthew Berry. Matthew Berry.
Thank you, Matthew. Enjoy Halloween. You are making sure that our listeners are enjoying all of their Sundays because the information he is giving has been parlayed into money in ways that are fairly obvious and unusual. Thank you. You will rarely get more gratitude from our listeners than when you give them money. And the information that he is providing dollars. Can we bury all things Dolphins here permanently? Because I don't know where you go. He just mentioned the Bengals defense, and I don't know whether the Dallas defense is the worst defense in the league, but the Dolphin defense doesn't have very many players that anybody would want, and the trading deadline is Tuesday, and I don't know who is going to be moved, but I cannot remember covering the team in this market of a time when a roster had so few pieces that you're going to build around for tomorrow. Like, so few pieces that anyone else in the league would want. I'm not being prisoner of the moment when I tell you they went so all in on we're going to do this with Tyreek Hill and we're going to do it right now and we are going to gamble in a way that will be all or nothing that we're presently living the nothing. Like, there are just not reasons to hope, okay, I'll build around that guy. Like, even if you're excited about Achane, do you realize how quickly they're burning through his body at a position in the league where they tell you that's disposable? We'll go get the next guy after we've burnt through this one's body.
In terms of defensive guys that have value, I would say Chop Robinson probably has a little value, and Zach Sealer. I'm just saying, though, like Chop Robinson has looked good as a young player, and Zach Sealer just got paid. I think outside of that, it's bleak.
Jalen Phillips might also be moved, and he's not a good tackler, and he's the king of almost, but Jalen Phillips might also have some marginal value. But you're not bringing back much, so it's not like the trade deadline is going to get you excited. And when Tony's sitting here saying Kyler Murray, and my ears are perking up because I'm guessing that Dolphin fans would get excited about Kyler Murray because it would at least be, well, if we can't block, it's someone who can move. It's
just
someone,
run around.
If we're going to spend 20 years of draft picks on offensive linemen without ever being able to block somebody, how about we do it differently? We'll have the guys who can't block, and we'll have a quarterback who can move away from them.
I mean, he'd be the most entertaining quarterback that we've had. I know Tua put up 70 points, but that was a product of all of the entertaining pieces around him and an entertaining coaching style. Like, he'd be the most exciting quarterback of my lifetime watching the Dolphins. And if you can get a guy like him for decent value, it'd be the first time ever that they'd be acquiring a talented quarterback for good value, because they took Tua high in the draft. They took Ryan Tannehill high in the draft. Both of those guys underachieving from where you got them. So Kyler Murray, who was a number 1 overall pick, theoretically you'd be buying low, and he could run around. That's more exciting than a guy who literally can't leave the pocket without us worrying he's going to die.
That is true. I saw something on Twitter. I'm trying to remember exactly what it is. I'll try to pull up the article once I'm done talking. But there was a trade, not rumor, but a trade thing that. My bad.
What?
Tony, the way you started that, if I played it back to you, you're going to be mortified by the way that you started. You want to start again?
Yeah, because I'm trying to do the picture thing in my mind where I'm trying to remember exactly who it was, and I'm trying to go through it, and it's tough. So what the trade thing is.
Tony. All right, let's regroup here. Let's just.
Okay, it's an all-time rejoin. It is an article.
Let's just clean the palate. I know the Billy chair got you, and it happens sometimes.
It did. The ghost of Billy
chair. Let's go ahead and get Roy so that we give Tony some time to restart here. Let's just get some of the clips of Billy yammering so that we can just show Tony here what not to do. Because the way that he started that, when I replay that back for him, all of it, he's going to be truly mortified. And I want to cleanse his palate so he can go into the weekend feeling better about himself than he presently does. So, Billy can yammer. Billy can start a point and then never get to the end of the point. And Roy, if you could just find for me a couple of the Billy classic just to give Tony time to regroup and figure out how he wants to how he wants to refer to trade information.
Well, Charlie had this. Charlie, as far as I know, so just Charlie's title in my.
Are you going to say anything?
Well,
all right, Tony.
How about Billy showing up to the watch along yesterday? That was great.
Yeah, it was fun to see him.
It was nice.
Well,
Everybody was super moved that Billy was there and
a lot smaller.
keeping the spirit alive. Well, television adds 10 pounds.
Oh, that's right.
And inches.
Oh.
You ready to restart?
Okay. So, there was a trade article written of trades that could happen in the future getting to the deadline, right? One of the trades being positioned was Tua to the Raiders, plus to attach second-round picks for the Dolphins, sending them over to the Raiders, getting in return like a fifth-round pick. So that's where the value is as far as Tua and his contract. So when you talk about trading for Kyler Murray or trading for somebody else, that's the value for your highest paid position is 2 second-rounders that you have to ship to a team that's terrible to get their fifth-round pick back to you. How's that?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, good job. Yeah, all right. Yeah, you got it. All right. Yeah.
If we're going to play sounds that make people feel slightly better, let's get that Tracy Morgan video and sound so that we can have something that feels sweet here. You want to give me some context for this? I mean, I don't know the entirety of this. I just know that it's sweet.
Yeah, this is after a Knick game, and where the celebrities exit from the Garden. People tend to hang around because they know they can get autographs and pictures and whatnot. And so this young fan sees Tracy Morgan as he's getting into his car, and he's like, "Oh, Tracy," and the driver's actually closing the door, and Tracy stops the door from being closed. Like, hold on, let me talk to this kid. And this is the interaction that happens.
Give me some. What you doing? What you doing? You with your pops? Yeah. That's your pops? Yeah. Take care of him. Okay. You only get one. You hear me? Yeah. He love you. There's no way in the world you could possibly know how much that man love you. Okay. You know when you gonna know? When you have your own son. Okay. That's what you're gonna say. Now I know what my father would have did for me. Okay. Everything. I love you. Thank you, Tracy. Yo. What's your name? Nico. I'm Tracy. You friends? Yeah. Come check it out. High five, man. Listen, friends. Nico, how about you later? Go Knicks. No.
It's just an awesome. He didn't have to do any of that. He could have just took the picture with the kid and kept it moving. And he like to reemphasize to the kid that your dad is looking out for you here, and he loves you, and you don't understand the capacity of that with which he loves you. It's just like that's an interaction that kid's gonna remember forever, right? And again, like we talk about Charles a lot because Charles is that kind of guy. It's like you meet Charles Barkley, you're not just going to say, "Oh, I got a picture of Charles Barkley." You're going to have a story about, "Oh, man, he asked me where I was from, and I told him this, and he made some jokes." Like those interactions, they mean so much on the other end. And so last night was kind of like that. I had a lot of that in my mind because of that Tracy Morgan. I thought that was a very cool interaction.
And culturally, to go with what you said earlier about, black people and how they perceived, I think this is awesome because from that young age, he knows we're friends. Like, I think that was the most important thing as well. Yeah. Like, that was awesome. Yeah.
But Tracy Morgan isn't going to holler at him later.
Dan, that's a lesson on how to have an interaction with a fan where it's like a minute and like you get it all in. Like with these 7-minute conversations, there's like a line of 50 people trying to see you, and you're talking for like 8 minutes to one guy. It's like we got to have a time thing here.
Just the way the mouth moves.
Yeah.